Oh, happy birthday. When's your birthday? June 18th. Okay, so we're going to start. Well, we have 2 more minutes, so um, so yeah. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, I could see the similarities, but I would never think you were twins. Yeah, yeah, she's cute. Wow, that's quite a Polish last name there. Yeah. Should be popular with the MAGA crowd. We love you. Can we share this initial? Yes. Sorry, I didn't mean to answer for you, but okay. All right, so let's begin. If you are watching on YouTube and you have a question, just go ahead and put it in the chat. Otherwise, I have something to talk about. For the people who are here, if you have a question about anything related to Buddhism, the path, practice, etc., let me know. Otherwise, talk about something else. All right, so welcome here this morning. And let's begin by just settling in. First of all, getting mind and body together in the same place. Sam dasam garab shiri sam pamakala jabalishu. Sufana mata tinga saso ketera mana maswate. Omi jakin kifo trane dusum sange kringing o one net and some chakana suited say batsa animation class. Hi, welcome. All right, so we're going to begin with our bodhicitta motivation. Can you guys hear me okay? All right. So bodhicitta is a Sanskrit word. Bodhi means awakened or enlightened, and citta means the mind and heart together. So bodhicitta is the literal translation is enlightened mind heart. But the definition is the wish to attain enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. So, from the Buddhist perspective, everything we do on this path is with that aim in mind. We want to attain enlightenment. We want to work on ourselves, on our own mind, on our very being towards that end, but with the purpose of benefiting others. So, at least if we could take a moment to form the wish that the time we spent together this morning will benefit not only ourselves, but others as well. Okay, so I want to give you an opportunity to ask any questions that you might have, and also live streaming on YouTube. So if anybody on YouTube has questions, please put it in the chat. Does anybody in this room have any questions? Rachel? Mhm. Okay. So I think probably people on YouTube couldn't hear that, so I'm just going to repeat your question. The question is, why is Ani Palmo so awesome? So I'm going to spend the next hour talking about myself. Hey, Sandra, hi. No, the question is, um, Rachel wants me to talk about the balance between keeping space for the fact of impermanence and making plans for the future. So we'll talk about that. So, um, impermanence is a really important concept in Buddhist thought and practice. The Buddha called impermanence actually the king of all practices because of the power and efficacy of contemplating impermanence. So when we talk about impermanence, we mean um, we usually talk about it together with death, impermanent death and impermanence together like that as a way of appreciating the present moment, being in the present moment, but as a way of, hang on one second, I just pull up something. I just had this open. Here we go. Okay. Um, so the contemplation of impermanence is also a tremendous aid in reducing our own suffering because a lot of our suffering comes from unrealistic expectations that things will last. You know, this good weather will last, or, um, this relationship will last, or my life will last, or democracy will last, things like that. Mhm. So when we think about impermanence or practice contemplating impermanence, it's um, it's not some kind of esoteric idea. It's not something that's difficult to understand. We see it all the time. It's not any kind of heady concept, right? Um, but it's difficult to digest. It's difficult to like really realize that, right? Um, Not hard to understand intellectually, but difficult to realize. So we practice typically, every day. Um, we contemplate what's called the four thoughts that turn the mind towards the Dharma. And one of those is impermanence, death and impermanence. So the idea behind that is that, we have the conditions right now to be able to practice. So we want to take advantage of that before it goes away. Right. And see we sort of tend to kind of forget about impermanence unless big things happen, like we turn 40, or someone passes away, or suddenly we look outside and it's winter or whatever, those kind of things. We sort of, oh yeah, things are not uh, stable, but we don't notice the really small subtle changes that happen on a regular basis. you know like we think, we brush our teeth in the morning, and then we brush our teeth in the evening, and we think it's the same person, right? But it's not the same person. A lot of changes have happened between 7 in the morning and 7 at night, right? We become that much older. We've been introduced to new ideas. We've made decisions. Like a lot of things have changed. Even the planet has moved, and now it's nighttime. A whole bunch of things have changed. And so those kind of big changes, like our kids' graduation, or what have you, those things don't happen overnight. Those things happen little by little, right? So Rinpoche tells us, if there's change in a year, there has to be change in a month. There's change in a month, there's change in a week, in a day, in an hour, in a second, in a millisecond, right? So this is the way things are. This is not Buddhists believe in impermanence, right? That's like, Buddhists believe in gravity, right? It's a fact. But we try to bring it to the front of our mind and to really think about and contemplate it, so that when things inevitably change, we don't suffer, right? Because we expected that. So if we think, yeah, I totally get it, I completely understand that, but then our phone breaks, right? And we get upset. Now, we didn't really understand it. We didn't really accept it, right? Otherwise, that would be no surprise, you know, like me on my way here today. Yeah, check engine light, engine malfunctioning. I'm like, great, I love it. So, uh, things change. Okay. So it's not just these these small things. Yeah. Um, it's our very so okay. The contemplation of permanence helps us to not suffer because we have like we're in line with the way things actually are. And it helps us to um, realize that things are not solid, they're not permanent, they're not truly existent. Yeah. So it opens the door to one of the highest teachings in Buddhism, which is the teachings on emptiness. Okay. Or sometimes it's the teachings on not being attached to the solidity of the self, right? Our body's changing all the time. Our mind is changing all the time. What are we going to point to and say, that's me? Yeah. So it opens up the door to these kind of the vaster view of things. Um, so when the Buddha was teaching the first teaching on the Four Noble Truths, which are the truth of suffering, the truth of the cause of suffering, the truth of the cessation of suffering, and the truth of the path which leads to the cessation of suffering, that first one, truth of suffering, he's saying, um, it's actually like there is suffering because we don't see the kind of, again, like with impermanence, where we see the big changes, we don't notice the little changes. It's the same with suffering. Like we see the big sufferings, old age, sickness, death, this kind of stuff is very obvious, but we don't see all the little sufferings that we go through day to day, like being thirsty and needing to drink water, or we're outside, you know, in the snow and building a snowman, and we come in to be near the fire, and then the fire becomes too hot and we have to back up from the fire. Even when we're sleeping, we're moving all the time, right? Because we get uncomfortable. Like this kind of thing is very kind of, even that is more obvious than the kind of suffering that we experience by always looking, expecting happiness to be like around the corner, right? This kind of suffering, which is actually more important than the other kind. Yeah. You just think like once I get all my ducks in a row, everything will be okay. Once I move into my new house, everything will be okay. Once, whatever, fill in the blank, everybody has them, right? So he's talking about the the suffering of change. I'm getting to the point. Okay. I don't want you to think like, well, I shouldn't shut up. So he talks about the suffering of change um, being twofold. There's like the suffering that comes when things that we are attracted to, things that we love, change, right? Relationship breaks up, or you know, fall becomes winter. This kind of thing. Like we can't hold on to things that we find pleasant because eventually, due to impermanence, those things disappear. Yeah. And then the second one is that anything that we enjoy doing, if we do it long enough, turns into suffering. Okay. So if you think about drinking water, let's say, you're thirsty and you drink some water. Well, what happens if somebody forces you to not stop drinking water? Right. That becomes suffering pretty quickly. Yeah. And can even kill you. So he's not saying those things to say you should never try to have fun or enjoy yourself or whatever. He's saying those things to say you're looking for happiness in the wrong place. If you think that it's going to be outside of yourself, if you think that it's going to be somewhere other than your own mind and working with your own mind. Okay. Um, So that's like the suffering of change. Okay. So sometimes when people hear this teaching on impermanence, they think like, oh, that's really negative. I just have to think like all the good things in my life are going to disappear. But impermanence also means that if you're sick now, you can get to a point where you're not sick anymore, right? If you know, don't have a car now, you might be able to get a car, and like Thich Nhat Hanh, who's the great Vietnamese master who I know a lot of people know, he talks about how uh, pardon me. Um, he talks about how like growth is not possible at all without impermanence. Like your children can't grow up without impermanence, right? So it's also a life affirming, a life giving kind of concept, right? So yeah, so here he says, uh, Thich Nhat Hanh wrote that impermanence makes all things possible because everything changes. There are seeds and flowers, children and grandchildren. A static world would be a dead one. Okay? So contemplating impermanence also helps us to develop love and compassion for all beings. So that sounds like how are those two things connected, right? To have this kind of limitless compassion, limitless love, right? We have to we don't have to, I suppose, but it's very helpful to consider impermanence in the sense of the impermanent nature of our relationships. Yeah. At the moment, we typically categorize people in three big groups, right? Those we love, those we hate or dislike, and those we couldn't care less about. And this is a very kind of self focused view of the world, right? It's just we love those who are kind to us and who do what we want and think how we want, etc. We dislike those who are mean to us and keep us from doing what we want, etc. And the rest of them neither serve nor harm me. So, okay, right? It's kind of like, if we think of it that way, it's not that pretty, but it's not evil. It's just kind of the way that we are. It's the habits that we have. So if we want to extend our circle of love, extend our circle of compassion, extend our patience and so forth, contemplating that really helps. Yeah. Even if we just think about this life, friends, strangers become friends. All of your friends, you didn't know them from the moment you popped out of the womb, right? Right. Strangers become friends. Friends become loved ones, you know friends become enemies, enemies become friends, like just in this life, and not to mention past and future lives. All of our relationships are constantly changing. So what are we going to point to say, and we have a tendency to do that with on either end of the extreme. This person that I love and who loves me, they will always love me, I will always love them, right? The other end of the spectrum, I hate this person, they hate me, we will always hate each other. But if you think about that, if we look at the people that we dislike in our personal life, oftentimes those are the people that we loved at one point, right? And they betrayed us somehow, and now we really hate them or dislike them, however you want. People don't like to say hate, but it's hate. So, right. Um, so this way of thinking about relationships helps us to kind of break up that iceberg a little bit, and have a little more flow and just be like, okay, for the moment, this is how things are. But there's no reason that I can't be kind to a stranger. There's no reason that I can't have compassion for someone, even someone who has done something awful. I can have compassion for them. That doesn't mean becoming a doormat. That doesn't mean saying whatever they did was okay, right? But just compassion for the pain that is at the root of their negative behavior. Doesn't mean we have to invite them into our life or keep them in our life or any of that. It's all just about how are we within our heart relating to that person. Yeah. So contemplating impermanence is a good tool for that. Just like, okay, you know, and you know, this person was once my friend, or this person was once a child, you know, and what happened to them in their life that now they're acting in this terrible way? You know, we can have compassion for that. So then, if we're thinking about that, how our relationships change all the time, how short this life is in comparison to, you know, countless previous lives and all of our future lives, then what are we going to really point to say that person will always be my loved one, that person will always be my enemy, right? So this is kind of why contemplating impermanence is important, why we hold to that as a strong feature in this path. Um, and I will say, like, you know, in the case of like when my father was dying, you know, I had been, you know, studying, practicing for probably, I don't know, about 15 years by that point. Would you mind closing that door? Thanks. Um, and um, and what I noticed was that all of those years of contemplating death and impermanence really helped me to not be so shocked about him dying, you know? And because of that, I was able to keep my head about things. I was able to like remain calm. I was able to help my mom and help my dad and my siblings also to, you know, handle this thing because there was one person who wasn't freaking out, you know? And I'm not a great practitioner by any means. Like I was shocked by this. I was like, wow, you're a terrible practitioner and it still worked. Amazing, you know. So it was very impressive for me, you know, to see the efficacy and the power of this practice. Okay. So these are just like some of the reasons why we talk about impermanence. So, you know, when we're talking about impermanence, it doesn't mean that we can't plan for the future, right? We have to make some kind of plan, especially if we have responsibility for others like you do, right? So, um, but we make those plans, or we try to make those plans with the understanding of impermanence, you know? I mean, and this is another good exercise to kind of look back on our life and be like, okay, what plans have I made? And how many of those plans actually worked out the way I expected, right? And we tend to be sort of shocked in the moment, I think, because we're not really looking back at all the different plans that we made that either didn't work at all or didn't work out the way that we thought they would, right? So it's not that we can't make plans, it's like how attached are we to those plans? And how much suffering are we going to have if things don't plan out, if things don't pan out the way that we planned, right? So that's the issue, right? Um, Zonzar Khyentse Rinpoche says we shouldn't plan for more than 4 months out at a time. But okay, I mean, I guess if you can, you know, but I don't know how you're going to do that when you got two little kids, you know, and you have to think about their future and what school they're going to, and do they have shoes for September, and you know, like retire sometime. What? Exactly, right? So we have to make plans, but again, with the light touch, you know, and with a kind of like, okay, this is what I would like. This is how I'm trying to make things go. But I understand it might not go like that. Okay. All right. Comments, questions? YouTube? So funny talking to YouTube. Chat? What do you think, chat? Um, no, I'm just trying to get my screen in the right place. My screen is being really weird. Hang on a second. Sorry. Okay. Um, can you repeat the question? Sorry, just follow-up reading. You're a bad student. What's our homework? um, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I would say, Kathleen McDonald's book, How to Meditate. I usually bring it in from the car, which I wish I had done now, because she has a beautiful meditation on impermanence in that book. Um, you can access the video. Yeah, yeah. Um, and then I would say any book on death and dying is going to talk about that. Sogi Rinpoche's book, The Tibetan Book of Living and Dying, is a really good one for that. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's really important. And the thing about impermanence too is like we get very uh what's the word? Kind of zombified, in a sense of sort of not paying attention, not really being awake, kind of just going through the motions of life and not really thinking about anything, beyond like it's almost an animal-like existence, of just eat, survive, defecate, sleep, start again, and other things that people like me can't do. I was thinking about this with my aunt yesterday. I think we'll share. Good. I hope you do, Sandra. Um, so uh, when we face certain things that wake us up, um, that is a really precious time to try to kind of be in that state of awakening to reality, you know, like getting a terminal diagnosis, for example, or having a loved one pass away. These kind of things are like, oh yeah, right, you know, and uh, yeah, actually, it's something I wanted to talk about, which maybe I'll talk about another time. Was this idea of like this can't happen to me, you know, where and this is kind of our running monologue around death. It's like if we came up to anybody and said, "Oh, I could ask anyone, are you going to live forever?" Of course she's going to say, "No, I'm not going to live forever. She's not an idiot," But, or I'll use myself as an example. I would say, "No, I know I'm going to die someday, but I don't really believe it." You know, that's the thing. And like I grew up in a funeral home. Like, how can I not believe that? Right. But we see others and we're like, oh, all these other people are dropping like flies, but not me. I'm going to just, carry on. I'm going to live forever, And that, oh, this can happen to me moment is a really good time to um, try to connect with that feeling of realization, you know, and it doesn't have to be big and dramatic like that. It can be, I don't know, you know, doing your laundry and your dryer breaks, you know, it's like that kind of thing can wake you up, right? You're just there, you got your plan, you're not even thinking about the laundry and why am I saying this? Oh, because my dryer broke, right? So, and I'm just like going along, going along. I'm not even really present, right? I'm just thinking, okay, I'm going to do this. And then when I'm done with this, I'm going to go upstairs and I'm going to do that. And then da 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 da. No, you're not, right? No, you're not. That's something small, but it's an opportunity to be like, oh yeah, everything's impermanent. Things aren't necessarily going to go the way that I plan. Now I have to switch gears and do something else, you know, solve this problem somehow. Yeah. But that moment typically doesn't last that long. We sort of go, okay, well, maybe I could take my laundry to my sister's, maybe I can, I got to call the repair guy or whatever. And then we go on to the next thing, sleepwalking essentially through life. I honestly think it's part of the reason that our modern culture is like so obsessed with zombies these days, right? It's something we relate to, you know, and it's like, I've been watching The Last of Us. You've been anybody watching that? The Last of Us. As these people like they get sort of like mushrooms take them over, and they kind of become zombies, like zombies, and sort of attack people, and but I'm a mushroom hunter, so I'm like this scene that was supposed to be horrifying of this room just like packed with all these mushrooms. I'm like, ooh, what do they have? What's there? What kind of mushroom is that? Are they accurate? But The Walking Dead and Night of the Living Dead from whenever that was, 70s, 60s, right? I think there's something there where we kind of realize that we're kind of zombie-like, and maybe we're looking for a way to fight that, to combat that and become alive again, you know. Um, yeah, I want to check something, see if I have that particular. I wish I brought that. Impermanence. Sorry. No, really in a second. Oh wow. Okay. Good. Mm, okay. Well, I can't find it. So, okay. All right. I'm sorry. What did she say? Yes, exactly. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. So let's do some meditation now. Okay. So we're going to start with mindfulness of breathing practice. If anybody's sitting on the floor, you just want to cross your legs in whatever way is comfortable for you. If you're sitting in a chair, do you want your feet flat on the floor if you can? All the other instructions are the same. And put your hands palms down on your knees or on your thighs, or palms resting on top of each other in your lap, or with your fingers on top of each other and your thumbs touching like that in your lap. The arms are relaxed. The back is straight but relaxed. Shoulders are back a little bit. Back of the neck is also straight, so the chin is tucked in a little. The mouth is closed but relaxed. Tongue resting on the roof of the mouth. Breathing through the nose. Ideally, the eyes are open, looking down, relaxed, half closed. Relaxed, unfocused gaze. So we adopt this posture because it helps the mind in meditation. And what we're going to do is just bring awareness to the sensation of the breath coming in and out of the nose. So take a moment to just notice that first. So what we're going to do is try to keep continuous awareness of that sensation without distraction. But we're not trying to stop thinking. We're just letting the thoughts come and go as they will on their own. So a thought will arise, dwell, and disappear, replaced by another thought, which will arise, dwell, and disappear on its own if we don't run after it. Okay. If we do run after it and we get distracted, then we simply notice, oh, I got distracted. Bring the mind back to the breath. Okay. This practice is simple, not necessarily easy, but simple and very powerful in the end. So let's just begin there, maintaining the posture, bringing awareness to the breath, letting the thoughts come and go, bringing the mind back to the breath if we get distracted. Now you can begin to count the breaths, counting either every in breath or every out breath for a total of 10 breaths. So the counting acts as an aid to helping us realize if we've gotten distracted, because if we lose count, we've gotten distracted. So let's say you get to 3 or 4 and your mind goes off and running. So as soon as you notice that you've lost count, no big deal. Bring the mind back, start again at 1. You get to 10 without losing count, come back to 1 and continue like that. So please begin that now. Body should be as relaxed as possible while maintaining the posture. So check if you have any tension. Check that you're keeping the posture without falling asleep. And your mind should be as relaxed as possible while maintaining awareness. So we're not trying to grasp at the breath or be very tense, just having awareness of that sensation. You're aware of everything else that's happening as well, inwardly and outwardly, that you're mainly focused on the breath. Okay. Now we're going to move into the practice of exchange called Tonglen in Tibetan. This practice is specifically for developing our compassion. It involves taking on the suffering of others and offering them our own happiness. There are 5 stages, which I will walk you through, that we're going to add one stage to that, and I'll just explain as we go along. So here, I'm going to begin again by taking the posture, but if you want to close your eyes for this one, that's fine. It's a different kind of practice. So begin by just resting the mind. So just let your mind settle into its natural state, not trying to concentrate on anything, at the same time not being distracted. Then please visualize in your heart center, so the middle of your chest, a very bright white light like a shining star with light going in all directions. Then consider that you're breathing in gray smoke, hot, dark, and heavy through all the pores of your body, and all of that smoke slowly dissolves into the white light in your heart center. So there's not a single particle of smoke left. There's only light. And you're going to breathe out this white light through all the pores of your body. The light is cool, clear, very bright, light in weight. And you just breathe that out, considering every pore of your body is emanating a ray of white light in all directions. So now we're going to choose an individual to do this practice with. Typically, there are 4 different types: someone we love, someone who is neutral to us, someone we dislike, and ourselves. Today, we're going to do someone that we love. So just picture in front of you someone that you love a great deal. This person can be currently alive or can have already passed. Just imagine them there. And then really go into your heart and feel the love you have for them, how much you appreciate them, how happy you feel in their presence, how much they care about you and loved you too. Just really rest in that space. And then consider whatever ways this person is suffering physically, mentally, emotionally. And don't just think about it, but try to really feel like, what does it feel like for this person that we love to endure that sickness or that anxiety or depression or whatever they're going through? What does it feel like for them? So because we love them, the thought of compassion or the feeling of compassion arises very easily. We want them to be free of suffering. We want them to be happy, even if it costs us something. So we imagine that all their suffering, whatever it is, takes the form of gray smoke, hot, dark, and heavy. It leaves them and it comes to you. Without any hesitation, you breathe that in through all the pores of your body. And all of that smoke just dissolves into the white light in your heart center until there's not a single particle of smoke left. There's only light. And then you offer this person that you love your own happiness, giving it away, along with anything at all that they may need to feel better. And adding to that the wish that they attain full enlightenment in this very lifetime. And all of that takes the form of white light. Again, cool, clear, very bright. And you breathe out this white light through all the pores of your body. And the rays of light go towards this person that you love. And when these rays touch them, you see all of their suffering just disappears, just lifts off of them. And they feel so relieved and finally peaceful and happy. And you feel joyful for being able to do this for them. Now we're going to, normally the next step would be sending it out to all beings, but we're going to add a step here. There's going to be protests all over the country today and the potential for violence. arrests, a lot of fear, a lot of hatred. So if we could please think of all of these people, both the protesters, the police, ICE, the government, and just make a strong wish that all of them can be free of hatred, free of fear, full of love and compassion for one another and for all beings. So we imagine them all around us in a circle, starting with the protesters, starting with the victims who've been separated from their families, put into prisons in another land, disappeared essentially. And around them, the protesters, trying to protect them, trying to protect democracy. And around them, the police and ICE, who in their own minds are doing something correct and are suffering from hatred and anger and ignorance like all of us are. And think of the suffering of each of these layers. And then consider that their suffering takes the form of gray smoke, hot in temperature, heavy in weight, dark. It leaves them and it comes to you. And with love and courage and openness, you breathe that in through all the pores of your body. All of that smoke dissolves into the white light in your heart center, dissolving and dissolving and dissolving, till there's not a single particle of smoke left. There's only light. And then you offer all of them your own happiness, your own sense of safety, your own compassion, your own love, and whatever they may need, whether it is freedom, peace, freedom from ignorance, freedom from hatred, whatever they need to feel better in their personal life, and the wish that they attain full enlightenment in this very life. All of that taking the form of white light, being clear, very, very bright, cool in temperature, light in weight. You breathe out this light through all the pores of your body, very, very powerfully, each pore of your body emanating a ray of light in every direction. And when these rays of light touch each of these groups in turn, their suffering releases off of them. Their eyes are opened. They feel peaceful, loving, and kind. And they wake up into their own wisdom and compassion. They feel relieved to be free of these things and happy. And you feel really joyful for being able to do this for them. Now we extend it even more to all sentient beings without exception, in every direction as far as the eye can see, in front, to the right, behind, and to the left. Consider their suffering, whatever it may be, their suffering taking the form of gray smoke, breathing that in, dissolves into your heart center. You offer every single sentient being your own happiness, good fortune, anything that they may need, the wish they attain enlightenment, all of that taking the form of white light, cool, clean, clear, very bright. And you breathe that out. Goes in every direction as far as the eye can see. And when the rays of light touch them, their suffering just completely disappears, lifting off of them and dissolving like fog in the morning sun. They feel a tremendous sense of relief and happiness. And you feel joyful for being able to do this for them. Now you let go of the visualization altogether, gently bringing the mind back to the breath and into the present moment, here and now. Okay. This kind of practice is so helpful, when we feel very distressed and, like myself, I can't go out and do this kind of thing, I'm not physically capable. And, it's something we can do when we feel powerless in the face of big things like that. Okay, so Eileen's going to pass around the prayers, and you're welcome to join or not. It's totally up to you. But I think today I would like to just say all of them just in English. So we're just going to do them in English today. They're all going to be in English today. Yeah. I don't know why. It's got it in my head. That's what we should do. So that's what we're doing. Starting with the long life prayers, beginning with the prayer for the long life of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. In the celestial realm, encircled by snow peaks, you are the source of every happiness and benefit. Tenzin Gyatso Avalokiteshvara himself, may your lotus feet remain firm for 100 eons. Om Swasti, in the vast expanse of your fearless wisdom, shine the 100,000 cooling light rays of your all-pervading great love, dispelling the anguish of beings in this degenerate age. O supreme jewel of space, regent of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, remain with us continuously, we pray. Om Swati, through dependent causation and the blessings of the infinity of long life deities, may Pema Wangyal, prophesied magical emanation of the Taklin Setro, be firm in body, speech, and mind, like the king of the sounding drum, Amitabha, and may the great waves of his wishes for the teachings and being spread out to the ultimate extent. We pray for the good health of the lamas. We pray for their precious lives to be long. We pray for their activities to spread and increase. May we be blessed never to part from them. By this merit, may all attain omniscience. May you defeat the enemy wrongdoing. From the stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death, from the ocean of cyclic existence, may I free all beings. May bodhicitta, precious and sublime, arise where it does not yet come to be, and where it has arisen, may it never fail, but grow and flourish ever more and more. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then, may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world, ever absorbed in the display of divine forms and primordial awareness, appearance, sound, and perception in the state of divinities, mantras, and dharmakaya. May I, inseparable from the practice of the profound and secret great yoga, attain within the essence of mind the state of one taste. Then we say this mantra one time. Om Vajra Sattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajra Sattva Trinopa Tisha Drito Me Bhava Sujo Kayo Me Bhava Suko Kayo Me Bhava Anurakto Me Bhava Soa Siddhi Me Prayatsa So Kama Sutsam Me Chitam Shriya Guru Hung Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawatata Gatra Vajramame Munsa Vajribawa Mahasamaya Sadva. So before I let you go, I just want to make a couple of announcements. So for us in this room, are you guys on the newsletter? Are you receiving the newsletter? Okay, cool. So we have some cards there or the QR codes where you can sign up. That's the best way to know what we're doing because I sometimes forget to update the site. It's my, deal. And then we are moving into okay, we do have meditation next week, but just on YouTube. So the second Saturday of the month, we're here. The other Saturdays, the other Saturdays we are just on YouTube. So you can see that on our site also. And then we're going into summer break. So next week we will still have meditation, and then for 4 weeks after that we will not. Maybe some plans have changed, so I'm not exactly sure. But that's why a newsletter is the best because I want to do some kind of program during that time, maybe a weekend retreat or online or something like that, since I'm going to be here. And what else? Yeah, so we'll be starting new classes in September. So please look for that. And then any donations that anybody's able to make, whether you're on YouTube, you can see all the links in the description box below, or you can use those QR codes. We do, live in the world, so we do need funds. So if you're able to donate, that would be really great. If you're not able to, it's also fine. Okay, so thank you so much for joining us this morning. Oh, we're gonna go for coffee. You guys want to join us for coffee? You gotta do stuff. Okay. All right. Okay. 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 All right. Thanks, YouTube people.